Okay, here I am with the Anna Marie's Welcome Home block of the month, and this is the first block. And I watched her video. If you haven't watched it, you can go on freespirit.com and go to Be Inspired, and you'll go down to the Welcome Home kit, and Anna Marie herself gives all the tips. So I used her tips, and now I'm going to cut mine. So the first thing that we need to cut out is an 18-inch square, and she told us how to measure it up. I have a big ruler, so this is what I used. And she centered it with between this one, these little eyes in the flowers, and then these two. So I went ahead and drew my lines. Let's see, to put this on one. And with chalk, this is my trusty little chalk guy that I love because you can see it on everything. And I drew a line here to 18, a line here to 18, and then I turned it around. And I have my 18-inch square here where this flower should be centered right in the middle. So we're going to go ahead and cut that out. And as she said, when we cut our lines, we're not going to go far past the square because we're going to be using the rest of the fabric for other things. So let me get on my little line here, my chalk line, which is right here. So I have my perfect 18-inch. And I'm going to cut from one. There we go there. And then here's my second line of my chalk. I don't know if you can see it, but I can see it, so that's important. And then I'm going to go from here all the way to here. And then on this line, of course, here's my square chalk right here. Trying to make it just perfect. And then the final line right here. I guess I could have put this a little bit closer, but all right. Now let's see. I'm probably going to have to use my scissors a little bit here, which are, there they are. Okay. I don't know how sharp my rotary cutter is. They used it all day at work, so I probably need to cut it. That's very good. One or two little snips. That's there. And then the final one. Okay, so this is my 18-inch square of the center. So that's going to be the center of the quilt. It's beautiful, isn't it? So now I'm going to go ahead and mark. We need 4 8 3/4-inch squares. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I'm now going to mark 8 3/4. We need 4 8 3/4-inch squares. And I'm following the diagram here and how to pinpoint it. So it looks like this is about right. And I'm going to draw my chalk line to 8 3/4, which is right there. And on this side, 8 3/4 to right there. And then I'm going to turn it around so that I can get my 8 3/4. Let's see, 8 3/4 there. And I'm lining the lines right up on 8 3/4. And then I'll draw this line. And then, even though I've drawn the line, I can cut it out right here with this ruler. So I think I will. I'm going to cut on this line here. And then I'm going to cut on this line here. Oops, that's all right. I don't typically cut with my left hand, so I may need a little bit there. But we're going to put this down on the line. Trying to get it oh so perfect. And let's see how that came out. So far so good. A little bit right here. That was the side with my left hand, so pretty good. So this is my 8 3/4.
Okay.
And I think that's about right. I mean, she was judging with she said the blue leaf to the left with the flower in the corner. So that's good. And now I'm going to cut out 3 more, and I'll be back in a minute. There we go. 8 3/4. 8 3/4. 8 3/4. And then I will turn it around to get 8 3/4. So 8 3/4, 8 3/4. I'm trying to keep this on the line. And that's 8 3/4. So then I know that is 8 3/4. Okay, so we'll cut one more out. So this is the second fabric we have right here, and we're going to cut that into 7.5 inches to the width of fabric. So we'll clean up this edge right here, and then we're going to cut it 7.5 inches. Okay, those are 7.5 inches. And we're going to subcut that into 4 7.5-inch squares. So I like to trim the end off nice and clean. Right here. And back over here. Oh, I'm gonna have to trim a little more. I didn't see the other side. Got to clean that up to get all the edges off. Okay, now we'll get 7.5. And 15. Okay, these are my 4 7.5-inch squares. And then we need a couple of, we need 2 2 3/4 strips. So we are two 3/4. want to get this just right. Because as you build this quilt, you want to be sure that all your measurements are correct. Another 2 3/4. Okay, so now we have those cut, and we're going to cut those into 2 18 inches and 2 22 inches. So again, we're going to cut the edges off here. And we'll cut this at 18 inches. Here's my 18-inch, and then this one I'm just going to cut in half. Since I watched her video, this second one does not have to be perfect. It doesn't have to match the corners because we're going to be cutting that in the end anyway. So here we have this. I have my blocks, and here is my center, and I'm ready to make my first block. In the first block, we also are going to cut the scalloped edges, but I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm going to show you that next week because I want to put some steam seam on or something because I'm going to be doing a turn under applique. So I can do that later because that's not used for the first block anyway. So I will sew this together, and we will video that next week, but this is how I cut it, and hopefully you have your cutting done, and next week we'll sew it all together. So thank you, and I hope you enjoyed these tips.